many patients who would go into an MRI and be like, I don't know what you're looking for, but go ahead. But putting that aside, I mean, the letter that the doctor released today, it answers some questions, but it sort of is answering questions that maybe weren't asked. What did you make of it?
It actually, I think, left more things unanswered than answered and will not quell speculation. As someone who practices preventive medicine, I can tell you that MRI is not a first step or first line treatment or screening tool for prevention. And to say that it was something that you would give a person of his age to prevent worse health outcomes, it just doesn't add up. It felt nonspecific in many ways. It felt random, but nothing overtly suspicious. You would ask yourself, was there some other clinical concern that led his treating physician to order that MRI? Because you definitely don't begin there. And this is, we're missing a moment once again with this current administration, whether it's public health, healthcare, or the power of prevention. We could have come out and have been very transparent and said, this is what is happening. But instead, it's a little bit of cat and mouse.
Yeah, I mean, if everything's fine, why did it take literally a month and a half or whatever it was for this to come out? Also, even just the fact that they're labeling this an annual checkup, but he'd already had one earlier in the year. So there's just a lot of things that don't add up here.
I normally would not think this is a good story or interesting story. But, you know, two things. One, Donald Trump's virility is such a significant part of his brand. You know, that people actually like that he's a strong man. They like that he projects that energy and that's how he always campaigned. So, and the second point is he made such an issue of Joe Biden's health for so long that for him not to take this seriously or to try and just sort of dismiss the conversation outright, you know, is I think a little ridiculous.
The mainstream media has no credibility on the issues. The same people who are now saying, though, that Biden, they were the ones saying that Biden was doing 100% fine after tripping. Biden is declared healthy and vigorous.
No,
These
you're
are the
missing
same
my
people,
point.
though,
I'm just saying Donald Trump
questions
made an issue
about
of it, right?
Donald Trump. But use your eyes.
Right, that's
you could use your eyes with Biden and see he was trailing off mid-sentence.
But
you could also say that
you could use your eyes with Donald Trump and see
you
that
could also say that
he's done dozens of press conferences this month.
People are also
we're missing the point.
But also, made a comment that supporters
people are
struggle
also
to keep up with him.
People are raising the point.
I think you're right. I think that you're right
eyes are
that
on this.
there should probably be, for the people who were defending Joe Biden, they should probably have a seat in this conversation. I don't know that anybody at this particular table were doing that.
I was one of those who said he shouldn't run, if you'll remember, long time ago.
However, if you are concerned about Joe Biden, if you're concerned that perhaps he wasn't up for the job, the New York Times wrote a piece where they noted that Trump has fewer public events on his schedule. He's traveling domestically much less than he did in his first term. He keeps a shorter public schedule than he used to. Most of his appearances fall between noon and 5 p.m. on average. I seem to recall that being a criticism of Joe Biden's as well. And on top of that, I mean, Donald Trump is well known to make a lot of verbal gaffes on a regular basis. So if you're concerned about Biden, why would you not be concerned about that?
Right. And can we talk about this from a medical perspective?
Well, two wrongs don't make a right, right? So Trump makes this the issue
that's exactly my point,
about other people. He ought to be able to handle it when it comes back at him.
I think that's exactly my point.
He's traveled to 13 countries this year. He's done
but we're missing, let me just say this again. We're missing the point. You have a 79-year-old man, and we should be having a conversation in this country about how do you prevent progressive aging that could be debilitating. We are seeing,
let's have that conversation,
but
it doesn't have to be about Donald
because
Trump.
It's always branded in there's nothing wrong with me. I'm perfectly normal. I'm 100% strong. I am 100% well. When we know at their age there are risk factors for a host of cardiac issues, not saying that he has those things. We know that he is either overweight or he has obesity. That carries risk factors for other cardiometabolic issues. We know that there have been occasions where His sentences were nonsensical. He has misnamed people. Look, I had concerns when President Biden was evidencing those similar types of symptoms as someone who could be going through some form of cognitive decline. And what I'm saying here is that we are left with more questions than answers. And if the concern really were about projecting transparency, if the concern were really about educating the masses on what you could do to protect your health span, so like aging and being well, then we would say, hey, this is what a 79-year-old man who's probably not in the best shape or the best fit is dealing with. But we don't get that. There's too much conjecture.
Well,
there's too much
speculation. It's not about that. I mean, it's obviously about protecting the principal, protecting the president from criticism. Trump lashed out at the New York Times reporter who wrote, one of the reporters who wrote that. There were two writers, but he only lashed out at the woman. He calls the Times a rag, says that it's an enemy of the people, and calls her a third-rate reporter who is ugly both inside and out. And I think a lot of Americans, this was true in the 2024 campaign, a lot of Americans are looking at these elderly presidents and elderly candidates and saying, to Dr. Pernell's point, shouldn't we have an honest conversation about the fact that aging is a thing that you don't escape?
Yes, it's normal.
You don't get away with not aging.
It's normal.
That's when you can't deny time. You can't deny history. But, I mean, for me, the problem is not so much Brother Trump having a problem with his head. Nebuchadnezzar could pass a cognition test, but Jeremiah says what? You fail in issues of the heart. That's the crucial thing. You know, Julius Caesar could pass an exam for his head, but Cicero says what? You're failing in heart. You're failing in compassion. You're failing in caring for the weak and the vulnerable. That's a much deeper issue that holds for both parties. It holds for all colors, all genders, all sexual orientations, all religious identities. That's part of the spiritual moral crisis that, again, we don't want to linger too long on because we can be overwhelmed by it. And yet sooner or later, we're going to have to hit it head on.
Look, it's a fair point.
Yeah.
I think in the context of running a country, being the leader of the free world, as it were, it is important whether you are well or not.
Politics doesn't have these conversations.
I mean,
there's no say.
And you know what? Look, presidents have lied about their health for
Yes, they have.
a very
Yes, they have.
long time.
Absolutely.
It is not new.
Absolutely.
But we know that he has health issues. We know that he's been to the doctor 3 times this year and has now gotten an MRI. Why are they misdirecting about this?
I just find this story hilarious. I don't begrudge anybody doing the work, pointing it out. That obviously, as we saw in the last administration, there wasn't enough of that. I myself felt so sorry for Joe Biden for the embarrassment that I didn't talk about it enough, and I hold myself to account for that. But it's just hilarious. This is the most effective president of my lifetime. The next president is going to get half as much done. So whatever is going on with him, he seems to me to be very virile, but he is extremely, extremely effective. He has done so much. He has revolutionized this country, both in terms of foreign policy and in terms of domestic policy. I disagree with Dr. West. I think a lot of that comes from a place of compassion for forgotten Americans. And so to me, to see people sitting around being like, oh, there must be something wrong with him. We should all be so lucky to be this effective when we are half his age.
Public health is crumbling. Healthcare is in disarray. We are no longer recognizing that today is World AIDS Day. Look, my father had a chronic HIV/AIDS infection. And in this country, for us to continually say that public health matters are not important is abysmal. We have Americans who are being separated for care.
He got the price of drugs down by hundreds of percentages.
That was actually a policy proposal that was inherited from the previous administration.
And they failed to do it. And
inherited by the previous administration. And we know we need to lower the cost of drugs in this nation. But we can't say that when we have a president and an administration that has executed policy violence that has disproportionately impacted historically marginalized groups, has separated Americans from care.
I don't know what that means. People of every group buy drugs.
What do you mean you don't? We're not
Wait,
talking
wait,
about
wait.
drugs.
Just a fact
We're not
for
just
a second.
talking about pharmaceutical drugs. We're talking about the well-being of populations. I'm a public health physician. We can have a conversation about, are Americans sicker? Are Americans at risk to have worse outcomes? We have an outbreak of measles. Measles was almost eliminated in the United States. That's happened under this administration. We see bouts of pertussis. That's happened under this administration. So you just can't sit there and say he's been the most effective president. I don't know why we're talking about this issue, because
on the economy, on immigration, on tariffs, on trade. He's ended 9 wars. This is effective stuff.
Hold on a second. There's a lot